Welcome to the Chris Hatcher Show, presented by Alabama 811. I'm your host, Kevin Blackwell, and of course, each week I'm joined by Sanford head football coach Chris Hatcher. This past Saturday, the Bulldogs traveled to Sanford Stadium in Athens, Georgia, to take on the defending national champion Georgia Bulldogs. And though coming home with a 33-0 defeat, our Bulldogs showed some toughness and some grit in that game. Coach, this week we find Georgia at #1 spot in the AP poll, jumping Alabama. All week you said you hoped that we would go to Athens and compete well and show some toughness. I think we did just that.
I think so, Kevin. I mean, we knew it was going to be a monumental task headed over to Georgia and come out victorious. But we prepared, and we're very optimistic that we would go in there and eat and play well. And each and every week, I just preach to the team, you're playing a faceless opponent, okay? When you're competing, if you're concerned about the other team, you have no chance. And it's all about you being the best you can be every single day. And that's our message this week as well as we head to Tennessee Tech. But I thought that we handled our business well. I thought that, we competed at a high level. I was really pleased with how our defense played in the red zone, holding Georgia to field goals there, especially early, which kept the game probably a little closer than a lot of people expected. We got out of there pretty much injury-free. A lot of guys got reps, and hopefully that'll bode well for us as we head back to our level of play this week.
Well, the Georgia defense is arguably the best in the country, and it was certainly tough sledding for us in Sanford Stadium on Saturday. But there were times, Coach, I felt like we had some momentum going, but it seems like to me there were some penalties that kind of kept us from having offensive momentum and some big-time yardage losses on some plays. Just talk about, the game against them offensively and how that went.
Well, you're being very optimistic and kind with the word momentum. On the sideline, it never seemed like we had any momentum. We were just fired up when we would get a first down. A couple times we did have some positive plays, and then the very next play were negated by false starts, what I call non-hustling penalties, which those type of penalties will get you beat week in and week out. But, they just physically dominated us, nothing we could do. And again, I go back to fortunately, defensively, we were holding them to field goals, or it could have got a lot worse a lot earlier.
Well, we were able to get some backups in the game. Second-string quarterback Quincy Crittenden got in the game for some valuable playing time. And, Coach, I thought he showed Sanford fans a glimpse of his capabilities in the game.
Quincy's done a really good job working himself into the backup role. And throughout the course of spring, he played well. And, his brother played for me at Murray State, and he was been a really good get for us. And, if he had to go in there, we would have full confidence in him, and I'll be honest with you, he's been playing really well, and he's done a good job of pushing Mike each and every day at practice.
Very good. Well, let's talk about that defense. Defensively, we did show some toughness, particularly in the red zone early on, holding the Georgia Bulldogs to field goal attempts inside the red zone. Coach, our defense just continues to impress me with their physical play, and I think that was especially true Saturday early in that game, keeping them out of the end zone. That had to give the defense some confidence as we move forward.
Well, there's no question, and I think defensively we played very well the first game versus Kennesaw, and at times we played a lead on defense there against Georgia. And I'm kind of saying this in fun a little bit because I do think we played great red zone defense. It's just you would hope that we wouldn't let them get to the red zone, to be able to play that red zone defense. But that offense for them is very explosive. They're big. They got playmakers. The quarterback had a lot of time to throw the ball. You had to kind of pick your poison. Do you rush him and then have to play a lot more man, or do you sit back and let him sit back there and try to find the zones? But I think, like I said early in the week, at the beginning of the season, that Coach Boone and his guys that he brought in on the defensive staff have done a tremendous job getting those guys playing hard. And the biggest thing is I thought we tackled well. And a lot of times in games where you are mismatched, that's the first thing that you notice. But the other night we tackled extremely well, and hopefully that bodes well coming into this week.
Well, one of the things we've noticed in the first two games is some of our transfers are making an impact early in the season. And one of those I would say is Isaiah Richardson, defensive back from Rice, 11 tackles on Saturday. Coach, I thought that he had a great game. It really was all over the field.
Well, he's been playing well, and he had the benefit of being here in the spring with us, so he's had a little bit more reps in the system that we have. Ty Hardiman, number 4, has been playing well. And then, a guy that I thought showed up a lot at Georgia was Emmanuel Flowers, transfer from Michigan State. So, we have a lot of guys that we brought in that are playing well, and that's what you're supposed to do. You try to recruit guys that can come help you win, and I think defensively we did a really good job of that.
In the past, when we've played opponents like Georgia, you do worry about kind of the physical toll that a game like that takes. So you'd mentioned that we came out of the game pretty healthy, and that seems to be the case.
Well, it does, and we've played some of these games where we've been in it all the way to the very end, and then the very next week, we were just physically and mentally drained. It didn't seem that way at Monday's practice. Our guys seemed fresh, excited for a new start, and we say that every Monday. Hey, this is a new start. It's a new season. This particular week. So, I don't think there'll be any type of hangover from that game. I don't expect that, and I expect us to be at full strength, ready to play.
Well, speaking of that, this Saturday, Samford travels to Cookeville, Tennessee to take on a familiar foe, the Tennessee Tech Golden Eagles, for a 6 p.m. kickoff. Golden Eagles enter the game with a 1-1 record, coming off a win against Texas A&M Commerce. Coach, we're familiar with Tennessee Tech. We've had some pretty wild matchups with them in the last few years.
Well, we have, and they do a great job preparing. They're very solid in all their schemes. Their players play extremely hard. The last time we went up there, got beat in overtime in a wild shootout, and then last year, midway through the third quarter, it was a one-score game, and then we forced them to make some turnovers and hit them on some big plays. So, every week, you better be ready to play. This week's no different. I think they're a very talented team. They're very well coached. And the thing that stands out to me more than anything else when you turn on the film is their guys, they play with a high motor all the time, and that's the best compliment I can give a team. So we got to go up there and play at night. It's their family weekend, so I know they're going to be jacked. They just came from behind, had a big win this past week against Commerce. Again, we better strap it up and bring our A game.
Again, you can watch Samford this Saturday on ESPN3 for a 6 p.m. kick. And also, fans, a reminder that tickets are still available for our next home game coming up on September the 24th. It's family weekend against the Western Carolina Catamounts. You can get those tickets at SamfordTickets.com. Well, Coach, good luck in the game in Cookeville, Tennessee, Saturday.
I appreciate it, Kevin. Thank you.
That will do it for this week's edition of the Chris Hatcher Show, presented by Alabama 811.